Here are 5 tips to help you level up your redstone skills. Number 1. Try to avoid redstone dust. Now I know that sounds kind of crazy. Avoid the fundamental part of redstone? Well, there are actually a few good reasons why. 1. It's laggy. 2. They need a block to be placed on, so extra space is taken up if you're trying to make your builds compact. And 3. If you're running a longer line, it can interfere with certain blocks alongside it, depending on what you're using. What's more, if you're playing in Java Edition, you could have some bud powering that you don't want. Now of course, there are scenarios where you do want to use redstone dust. I use it the most when I want to capitalize on the fact that the block it is placed on is powered. But if you're running a longer line, I would try to avoid redstone dust. Number 2. Don't limit the blocks you work with. I remember when I first started building redstone, I pretty much primarily used redstone dust, repeaters, and torches, and it didn't really get me anywhere. Now I use way more blocks, and it's so much easier. If you're struggling, maybe try using comparators, or copper bulbs, or observers. You could also try dispensers, droppers, and target blocks, and there's plenty of others out there that are going to be super useful if you want to make compact, efficient, and more complicated builds. Oh, and by the way, I play on Bedrock Edition, but I'm teaching concepts that apply to both versions, so it doesn't really affect anything. Back to the video. Number 3. Use color coding. Now, I know that sounds obvious, but when I first started doing redstone, I just didn't want to. I didn't see the point of it, but now I do, and I always try to use wool or concrete. It can be especially useful when you're starting out. It can help you decipher between what's going on in your redstone, because you may not have a great understanding of what's happening when you're first learning, so I definitely recommend it. Number 4. Take the time to learn the circuits and logic gates. If you've ever seen a video teaching you how to learn redstone as a beginner, you've probably seen logic gates, as well as some different circuits. Now, I will say that logic gates are more useful in computational redstone, but they're still worth learning. Logic gates are fine and all, but circuits are the real game changers. Some of them, like the T flip-flop and the SR latch, or RS NOR latch, depending on who you watch, are super useful, and learning them will be well worth your time if you want to get good at redstone. It will also help you with figuring out what you need to do in certain scenarios, and when you're debugging. Number 5. Maximize every block. So here's an example of what I mean by that. So we have this block, which is being hard powered, and it's powering this redstone dust. You can see we are taking one output from this observer. What if we maybe take 3 outputs, maximizing space and possibly efficiency? If you can master this technique, your redstone builds will become incredibly compact. Well, that's it. I hope you enjoyed, and if so, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribed. Click here if you want to learn the redstone tip that helped me get where I am today. Peace out.